I'm trying something a little different this morning. I'm going to be looking at a video from a guy that posts his matches on YouTube. I had to try to get my ass up and get my some stuff being productive today. I only have 6 more days of vacation left before I have to go back to work. So let me, for one, let me make sure this is going through. I got my Blue Snowball mic over here, so I'm hoping it's picking up the sound okay. Let me turn the sound down on my phone. And I'm going to be switching, I got something in my eye. I'm going to be switching back and forth, looking at a video from this guy, Ben Sucks at Ping Pong, where he did a latest upload. Because I think, now disclaimer, I'm not trying to disparage anybody or I'm not trying to be critical of anybody. That's not what I'm trying to do. I think I can make this guy's life a little easier. Everybody needs somebody to kind of point him in the right direction on some stuff. And I noticed that some of his, I guess he puts up about 3 matches a week from his local club. And I noticed that he gets, a few helpful YouTube comments, and that's fine. And I left one, but I was thinking, maybe I better not leave some kind of generic, out of context comment. And I see a lot of the people, that are leaving comments on his channel. It's just kind of vague advice with no context. So I'm going to be looking at the match, and then I'm going to switch scenes back to this camera. I'm going to kind of put my money where my mouth is and kind of show what I'm talking about. It won't be against the ball machine or anything like that. So let's go ahead and get started here. Let me switch scenes, and I hope I have this all. I did this really fast. I hope I have this all set up right. It says, welcome to this match. Here's what I'm working on. Adjusting faster than my opponent, balance between attack and defense, and good forehands. I'm not really worried about any of that kind of stuff. Of course you want to hit good forehands, but really what does that mean? Good forehands. Without context, it's like adjusting faster than my opponent. You got to have context on that. Balance between attack and defense. That one I don't agree with at all. Unless you're like a chopper, and what constitutes playing defense? I don't know. I think it should be, I would change number 2 and say, I'm not going to be passive. I'm going to try to put pressure on my opponent. That's what, I just get rid of number 1 and 2 and say, I'm going to work on putting pressure on my opponent. So let's just look at it. I'm not going to go in too much of a detail, but I am going to be pausing the video and switching scenes and kind of showing what I'm talking about. And in all fairness, I've coached some lower rated players, but I'm not a high level coach or anything. I'm not a high level player. So I just wanted to I wanted to get that out there right now. I mean, I was 2,100 at my peak, and that was well over 30 years ago. So yeah, just to put that into context. So let's go ahead and start the match here. I hope the sound's okay and whatever. I might want to hit the right window here. Okay, here we go. I clicked on my broadcaster instead of the actual video. Okay, I'm going to pause it right here because I'm already seeing something that I want to comment on. I'm 9 seconds in. Serve return. Notice how, let's back it up. Look where he's taking the ball on the service return, and look how he's setting up at the table. Now, hold on. Okay, look at his setup. Ben is the guy closest on this side. He is returning serve. He's returning serve right now. Okay, his opponent has thrown the ball up, and he has set up. When I first saw this guy's videos, I was like, oh, this guy's going to play forehands all day long, because that's what he's setting up. He's setting up to be his grip. His grip is a forehand grip. His setup at the table is a forehand grip, or a forehand dominant player. I'm not thinking this guy's trying to hit backhands whatsoever. But let's see how this serve goes. Okay, the guy serves long, high and long to his backhand. And the first thing I noticed is, I'm going to work from the ground up. First thing I noticed here is the footwork. He's leaning backwards. There's no center of balance. There's no center of gravity here. The center of gravity is going backwards here. So let me switch scenes. And I've got this old chair here in the way. But what I'd like to see him do is, and I'm hoping the camera, I might want to raise the camera up a little bit. I think it's all right. What I'd like to see him do, he's setting up like this, and his right foot's back and his right foot's open. I'm not too worried about that, but he's setting up like this. For one, let's relax. This does not look like it's relaxed, because somebody, I know in his comments, somebody told him to stay low and to keep his racket high. You want to lower your base when you're contacting the ball, but that doesn't mean, if you're off balance, it doesn't matter how low you get. So that's one of the comments that kind of, I was like, well, you got to have some context with that. And I would rather see you get just a little closer to the table, and your right foot is closer to the center line, as this is backhand, this is forehand for a right-hand player. I'd like to see you cheat your forehand a little more. I'd like to see you get more like this, with your racket closer, your elbow in more. Not like this. Your elbow's already out of position. Now I might be exaggerating it a little bit, but the first thing I noticed is, okay, that's fine, but where do you go here? Because you want your shot to have leverage. So the first thing I noticed is, I want you to get just a little closer, because you just seem like you're a little open and you're a little wide and you don't look relaxed. I want you relaxing everything from the elbows up. I want relaxed. I want it bouncy. I want you able to move side to side. Now when the guy's serving, he's throwing the ball up and he's contacting the ball, and by the time you're not even flinching for any sort of reaction to the ball until this ball is already over the net and is about ready to land on the table. You're way too late. And then what you do is, you immediately go back to your default position. I'm trying to show where my feet are. You immediately go into some kind of default safe position, and you're leaning back. I'd like to see you get just a little closer, and you need to be coming forward with your elbow closer to your body where you have leverage. The center, you're taking serves like this because you're thinking, oh, he's serving to my backhand. He's serving long and high. And you're like following the ball back with your stroke a little bit and contacting the ball back here when you're pushing. You're up here and back here over the white line when you're pushing. I want you like this. I want your shoulders squared to your opponent. If he's right-handed, your opponent's backhand corner of the table. I want you squared like that. Not quite so wide. Relax. You can come in another inch. You're too far over here because you're wanting to do this. This is enabling your bad habit of coming here. There's no reason to ever be pushing a backhand here, like this. With your right foot forward, your right foot will either be even and you'll be squared up to the table, because I notice you like to square up to your opponent. I like to get my opponent out of position. I don't want to be squared up to my opponent. And your default is just returning the ball straight back to your opponent. I want you thinking, create some angles, with the option to create angles. So I'd like to see you a little closer. Shoulders a little more than shoulder width apart. Relax. Not this. I want to see you like this, or however you have your feet, because you look a little wide and you look like your center of gravity. Like if you were frozen, it looks like I could come and push you over, especially when you're like this. When you're returning serve like this, if I could freeze you, for one, your shoulders are pointing that way. I want your shoulders pointing this way. Your shoulders are pointing this way on your push. And you're doing this, and you're doing this. Which I want to see you, if you're going to return backhand, I'm going to see you like this. It's just a straight motion. But your left foot's got to move also. I want to see you here. I never want to see you here. Unless you're a chopper and you're playing defense. But there's no reason for, when you're playing backhand, for your shoulders to be pointed out this way. Your shoulders should be this way. Another thing about returning serve. When the guy contacts the ball, like I said earlier, however he's doing it, you're waiting for that ball to come over, you're waiting for that ball to come over the net and almost land on your side of the table before you make a move. And then what you're doing is you're bringing, your left foot is just stuck, your left foot has stuckitis. Your left foot is a problem. You're wanting to step at the same time you're doing your stroke. If you know what I mean? You're wanting to step at the same time you're pushing your stroke. That's not how you do it. What I want you to do is watch your opponent. Right before he's about ready to contact the ball, I want you doing this. Little stutter step. You can do it a number of ways. There's not one way to do it. Whatever is more comfortable for you. But I want to see a shuffle. If you're playing on a hardwood floor, I want your feet squeaking. Like you're defending a point guard in basketball or something. Your feet, and that's right at contact. I want your momentum going forward. Don't wait and fall back. When we go through this video, you're going to see a lot of times where your right foot is on its heel and your toes are pointing 45 degrees up. There's no way you're balanced. Like I said, if I could freeze you, I could come up and push you over. You can't push me over if I'm here. I'm ready to step. I'm ready to cut off an angle. I'm ready to step up like this. I'm ready to push right here. Now you're going to have to get used to, if he's serving and it's not biting underspin, and it's not, why not do this? Doesn't take much. It doesn't take all this. Doesn't take all this stuff. Think small. Think small. When you're at the table, think small. It's small movements. It's not this. It's this. But your weight, you're solid. I want you solid. Not this. There's no reason you should be attacking those balls. Let's go back to look at it. Let me grab another ball. Let's watch some more. I'm getting out of breath just doing that. Jeez, I'm out of shape. Wow, I got my own issues, trust me. All right. Let's watch a little more. I'm hitting the wrong dummy. All right. Now you win the point. I don't care. I don't care if you're winning points or losing points here. Your weight is going backwards. Okay, let's look at that serve. I don't hate it. I don't hate that serve. But once again, look at your weight. Your weight is going backwards. There's no forward momentum. We'll cover serve a little bit. I'm not worried about it. But I don't hate your positioning. I'd actually like to see you a little further around your backhand when you're serving. I'd like to see you even more. But you got to have the proper momentum coming. You've got to have the proper weight transfer. And you've got to have the proper footing, balance when you're doing that. You serve in the net. I don't care. Like I said, I'm not here to judge if you win or lose the points. Let's pause right there. Look at your weight. Your right heel is your left foot is rooted. Your left foot it does not move. You just favor your right leg. You move your right leg. And your left leg is just like left all, it's just stuck at home base. And that's one of the reasons why your balance is kind of iffy. The good news is, I'm being kind of critical. The good news is these are easy fixes. So easy to fix. Now it's going to take time and work. But anything I've seen wrong with your game is easily fixable. I mean, your grip is basically good. Your strokes need a little work, but it's easy fixes. But look, your weight is going backwards. And you're fairly close to the table. And like I said, if I freeze you right there, how easy would it for me to come up and push you over, push you back? You just took the point off on that one. So there you go. You kept jamming, and I'd go back to that. I'd keep going back to that. Once again, let's look at what you did on the serve there. It's all about weight transfer. Yeah, you served in the net because you're thinking lean backwards. You've got that set in your head that you want your racket's moving forward, but your center of gravity is moving backwards. Once again, Your left foot never moved. You're actually not stepping forward, and it looks to me, now it might be wrong from the angle I'm seeing, but from what I'm seeing here, if I were to freeze you right there, I could come and push you backwards a little bit. I want to see your racket, you kind of make your racket come back while the ball's coming. You're retracting your stroke, and I want to see you going forward. I want to see your momentum. Your right foot should be closer to under the table right now, already planted on a stable position with your elbow low. Your elbow's pointing out. Here, let me switch scenes here. I want your elbow down, the elbow pointing down as much as possible. There's no balance or leverage when your elbow comes up like this. It's just not a natural position. You're like this, and your elbow is pointed upward. Now you're gonna have, when you're pushing, your elbow might point a little. It's not gonna be perfect, but when I push, my elbow is pointed down. My elbow's pointed down. Somewhat. I mean, it's, like I said, it's not going to be perfect. But the elbow's down. The elbow's pointed down. And then you can, at contact, you can add a little spin. You can come under the ball and add a spin when you have to. No spin, this, or you can flick it. You know, you can flick the ball. But this, not only is your footwork just squared up and your center of gravity is going backwards just slightly. What happens when your center of gravity goes backwards? Your racket angle comes open. It's a natural thing. When you raise your elbow, anytime that you go backwards, your racket angle comes open. Well, you don't want to be hitting balls with an open racket angle this high and this far back, because you're raising your elbow up. I mean, you can stop and look at, freeze your points. Your elbow's like this, when I want your elbow like this. I want you, you're thinking back and reaching to the side. And I want you thinking forward. Your return and serve, you're relaxed. Right before he contacts the ball. Here are my feet. I just don't do this. I don't swing my right foot. I don't reach with my right foot off balance. You got to get that left foot going. Try to keep your center of gravity the same. Then you work about staying low. Then during contact, you relax on the way back. Then you worry about staying low, keeping stable. Like you can't push me over right now. There's no way. You come to push me over, I'm locked in. I'm looking to hit the ball right out here. I'm looking to hit the ball right out here. I'm moving my body. I'm not thinking hands. I'm not looking about where my hands are going. I'm moving my body. This is all one unit. Your waist, your shoulders, your elbow, it all is connected. This is just an extension. It's not hands. You see guys doing Forrest Gump stuff, playing with their hands, where he never moves his butt. No, that's not how you do it. Here, your foot, your weight should be on that serve return, and I'm hammering serve return because without that, if you're off balance on that, boy, you're behind the 8 ball. I want to see you already with your weight forward and your elbow down. Taking that ball earlier. You don't wait for that ball to get to this line. Anything, I'll say that. Let's go back to the video. I keep hitting the wrong. What happened there with the backhand? He spins it, he serves, you do your normal safe push where you're defaulting into your backhand push, kind of off balance. He does a spin. He's got a lot of the same issues you do. He's got a lot of the same issues you do. So he rubs the ball. There's no speed on the ball. It's slow. It's got some spin on it. And your left foot has not moved through this whole exchange. Your left foot has not moved. Your shoulders are, your right foot is not in position to hit a forehand. Your weight is going back. The center of gravity is a little better, but I'd like to see you still not kind of have that leaning back. And now you're not only leaning back, all your weight is on the left foot now. There's hardly any weight going on your right foot there. It's not as bad as some of the other shots. And you're punching at the ball. So let's keep, that's another thing I'm going to address. You're trying to punch the ball. Left foot never moved. The ball is on you, and there's no weight going forward at all. Your left foot moved a little bit, but it's off the ground. Your heel is off the ground. Like I said, this might seem like I'm being brutal or critical. I'm just pointing out what I see. Like I said, I see a lot of your YouTube comments, and they're not addressing the root. No one is addressing the root of the problem. And the root of your problem is from the ground up. If I were your coach, I would start breaking you down from the ground up. But like I said, these fixes are easy. You're going to be a good player. You've got the gist of it. See, that's a little better. You controlled the ball, but you weren't ready for the next shot, but you controlled the ball. That's a lot better. See, he came forward on that ball, and then he gives you a serve, but I'm not worried about that. That is not a bad idea at all. I'd like to see actually more of that from you, but on a smaller, little bit smaller execution. Here you are. You actually are in not terrible position there, but your weight is going backwards on that. And the ball is too much on you by the time you're getting your stroke together, because your stroke is too long. I know it's foreign. I know it's foreign, and I've been there when I first started. I did these exact same things, and I had a club coach in Indianapolis put me on the right track like early. He saw what I was doing. He's like, man, he was like, man, you're going to be a good player, but I was doing the exact same things you're doing. I was leaning back, my weight's going back. I was stepping wide with my right foot instead of moving both feet. And I was trying to hit winners from serves that really you're just relying on your opponent not to hit, your opponent to miss. And that's what you're trying to do. That's how you win points in table tennis. You make your opponents miss. But luckily for you, your opponent has a lot of the same problems that you do. Now he's going to be a good player too, I think. If he's pointed in the right direction with easy fixes. You did a big weight shift there, but your weight shift was from right to left instead of from subtly back to forward. Looks like I'm buffering here. I don't know why it's doing that. I hope I'm still on here. I don't think I am. I can't tell on my phone. Nice. You're still off balance and stiff, and you're trying to hit at the ball. It's a good serve. There you go. You're up 3-0. Put the pressure on him. On that shot right there. I mean, that's just that just goes from lack of experience. You're not used to dealing with those slow topspin shots. You really have to. So leaning back even makes that problem worse. That ball you have to smother. You have to come in on that ball. That or really step back and just like do a really defensive shot where you're just trying to get the ball back. But yeah, you're not going to be able to you don't need much force to get that ball back. You don't need to generate a lot of force to get that ball back in play at him. Yeah, once again, look where your shoulders are pointing. They're pointing toward the windows. If I were to line your shoulders up and draw lines out of your shoulders, they're coming way off the table. Yeah, I'm not seeing my chat at all, so live chat. I'm not seeing my chat. There is no chat, but I'm just saying it's not even giving me the window. So I think my stream was buffering. That's fine. Hopefully this will come out where you can decipher something. And who knows, you don't feel like you have to listen to me. I'm nobody. Much better right there. Much better block. Much better block. You're still, your right foot is still coming off the ground, but you've got the right idea. I'd like to see your racket a little bit lower right there. Take the ball a little faster off the bounce, and if you had a little bit more forward momentum on the block, where you're taking the ball a little earlier and you get that feel, you're going to put way more pressure on your opponent. Right now, both of you guys give each other a lot of time that you're not taking advantage of. He's giving you a lot of time. I know it may not seem like it because you're uncomfortable. You're playing stiff, you're uncomfortable, you're not relaxed because you've got insecurities about the next shot. You have to develop a rhythm in table tennis. Not bad, you covered it. I'd like to see you closer to the table. I would love to see you closer to the table doing that. See, he's got the same issue as you. He steps with his right, he loves to use his right leg to step. Long, big, long steps. That's, you want to move your left foot first there, a shorter step, then move your right foot and move toward cutting the angle off more than automatically going backwards. See? If he would have, well, that's just terrible return. He let the ball come off the end of the table. Nice. Why don't you do that every time? that shot you did down the line, coming up right here. Why not do that more? Except don't lean. Like, move your left foot first, come in a little more with a quicker, shorter step movement, and take that ball right off the bounce. That's what I'm talking about. And you went down the line, much more controlled shot, a shorter stroke. It doesn't look fancy. Remember, table tennis is physical chess. You're trying to build your attack. You're not trying to, I don't want you thinking about winning a point. I want to think about always building an attack. Your shot, your current shot should be working to set up your next shot. There's a point you did here coming up that made me really mad. Hold on. If I remember right. Nice, you're still giving him too much time. Now you were ready on that one. That was much better. You were ready. You were ready to attack that. You would have probably had a decent attack on that shot. Look where you're, okay, I'm going to pause it right there. Look where your elbow is in relation to your body. Look where your shoulders are. Let me see if I can, hold on. I'm going to go back to the main. You're like this, and your shoulders are pointing that way on your back end. For one, I wouldn't want you hitting a backhand there. That's the first thing I would say. I mean, first thing I would say is don't hit a backhand. I don't want you hitting backhands here. I mean, but that's kind of beside the point. But if you're going to, at least square your shoulders up. You want to get your shoulders and your weight squared up to where you want the ball to go. It's not here and smacking the ball. Here, I got a ball in my pocket. You're trying to smack the ball. I want you thinking, absorb the ball. Keep that ball like you're trying to catch the ball. Keep that ball on your racket. Just practice this. Just come over the table and bounce the ball and practice this shot. You got to be close. You're not going to be able to do it like this, or this, or this. You're not going to be able to do that. It's this. You ever seen a dealer at a casino deal cards? He's not out here. It's a small. It's your wrist. Your wrist kind of creates the shot. And your elbow is the pivot when you're close to the table like that. Now when you're back, it's just more of a weight. It's more getting your weight and your feel. But you want to absorb the ball. All your power is gone by the time you come out here and you're smacking the ball, your racket speed is faster here than it is out here. Let me grab what's my cat doing? Let me grab a ball. Let me grab a couple actually. And you're compounding the problem by leaning a lot. I'm moving my body to the ball. I'm not worried about my racket. My racket stays here. And I try to keep my racket on the same plane. I'll go into that later, but I'm moving my body. Now you're gonna be off balance every once in a while. There's nothing wrong with this, because by the time you're contacting, your weight is stable. So it might look like if you're gonna play here with this stuff and you're trying to hit and a ball comes here, don't lean. I know it's all easier said than done, but this is what I want you to kind of try to implement in your game slowly, little bits and pieces. Don't try to change everything at once because you'll get discouraged. Like I said, you've got the gist of it, but I'd like to see you think about shorter movements, not smacking the ball. I want you thinking about trying to catch the ball with your racket, absorb it. Let the ball get into the rubber, the sponge, the blade. Then you make adjustments for if you want more blade. Start thinking of shots in the context of blade. Friction. And then you want a combination of that. But you want that ball, you want to try to absorb that ball. Try to think about keeping that ball on your racket as long as possible. And I don't mean like this stuff, or this stuff. I'm talking about right here. It's not smacking the ball. Your power is down. Your power is just decapitated. You know what I mean? By the time you get here, your power is. It seems like this stuff is gonna hit the ball harder, but it doesn't. Speed and spin come from the ball going into the rubber, the sponge, the blade. That's where the speed and spin comes from table tennis. On balance. So try to think shorter. Just try to think shorter strokes, especially at the table. Let the ball's energy help you. I'd come to the club early and bounce balls like this. They may laugh at you. They won't be laughing in a few months. Anyway, let's get back. One day I will get over this sinus infection. Doesn't say I've dropped any. Oh, I have dropped frames. I've dropped 2,300 frames. Okay, so that's where the buffering came from. Oh well. So I hope it's okay. Let's go ahead and hit play here. He's got the same problem. I mean, he's got some identical problems that you have. Nice. You still didn't move your feet in any of that, but at least you know. I never noticed this. I do this backhand reaction way too much. Oh, where you just, well, let's look at it. Your waist back. It's the same old, it's the same problem. You're thinking up and you're leaning back and your angle comes up and you just don't get a quality hit on the ball. It's not bad. I mean, it's not horrible. Your stroke isn't horrible, but you don't need to do that close to the table. I would be trying to get my momentum subtly going forward and take that ball faster, take that ball earlier off the bounce with my body closer. And here, the stroke isn't up here. It's not up here because you're letting that ball get on you. Chubbles, go away. Chubbles is wanting to come and commentate here up on my chair. Watch this. Ooh, oh, sorry, Chubbles. I thought you always landed on your feet. She's all right. Pulled the chair out from under you, didn't I? But you're up here when I'd like to see you, like I was saying earlier, the shot is, the coach I had that was from Riga, Latvia, he was a young guy in the early 90s. He was on the junior national team. Really good player, about 2,400 player, but I got some training sessions with him. I would drive 2.5 hours one way, like twice a week for a couple months to go up and have training sessions with him. And he had a great backhand, but he was like, because I was doing too much of this, trying to contact the ball, and he's like, no, the stroke is from, he's like, almost hit your stomach, which I need to lose. The stroke is more here. Here. The power will come because you also can use the energy of the ball, but you got to be closer to the table to use the energy of the ball, unless somebody hits a unbelievable shot at you. But back here, I wouldn't be hitting, if you got time, forehands. And I'm going to go over some of that later. But you should be thinking, now I don't mean forward, and I don't mean hurrying, and I don't mean rushing. I mean moving your feet in position and think smaller stroke. Use the ball's momentum. You're letting the ball come up and the ball's losing momentum, and you have to create a lot of power, and you think the power is up here when the power is actually here. The power is here, not out here. Anytime your elbow, if you're gonna hold something in your hand for an hour, would you rather hold it out here or would you rather hold it in here? I'd rather hold it in here with my elbow closer to my body. That's where basically your hips lead the shot. My problem right now is I've never played with the bigger ball. When I played, the ball was smaller, so there was more emphasis on spinning instead of more contact. Now that it's friction and contact together. When we used to try to do slower, way more top spinny loops, because with a smaller ball, back in the late 90s, they changed the size of the ball for spectators. Because the ball was about, and I'm talking about only by about 5 or 6%, something like that. Don't quote me on that, but this is a bigger ball than what I played with all my time. So I'm still trying to get used to that fact, that this is a different game. Like, my strokes need to change a little for the bigger ball. You can't spin this ball as much as you could spin the balls back in the 90s. I mean, you could really, there was some dudes that could really do some the slow loop was like a weapon. Now the slow loop is like, something to kind of, now it's more about speed and spin. It was still about speed back then, but not near as much. Spin was way more important. But the thing about developing spin is that's how you get a rhythm. If you can never spin the ball, you can't develop a rhythm in table tennis. And rhythm's important in table tennis. Like developing a rhythm. And your shots have no chaining rhythm whatsoever, because you're just worried about the next shot. You're just worried about this shot, and you're not trying to set up any kind of sequenced attack. But like I said, easy fix down the road. So let's go back to good serve. You jammed him. I like your forward. Now that's much better. That was much better. That's the best push I've ever seen you make. But let's look at it. You're still, I mean, it's still not perfect. You're still not quite going forward, but you're much more, your elbow is pointed down. You're somewhat going forward. I'd like to see you even more forward, your right foot even more forward, and I'd like to see your left foot move. Do a small step with your left foot to get your right foot. I'd like to see your right foot, almost half of your right foot underneath the table at that point. Maybe not quite that. I mean, it's hard to, yeah, I mean, about half of your foot should be under the table there. At least your toes. But that's one of the best pushes I've seen you make. It's still a little forceful, a little handsy, but it's a step in the right direction. Now let's look at that shot. You've already hit the ball and your weight is on your right foot. All your weight's coming from left to right because your left foot didn't move. You've already hit the ball into the net and all your weight's coming down on your right foot. I'd like to see the opposite of that. Let me go back over here. You're hitting. Oh, somebody turned my robot on. Shovels, did you? You've hit the ball and you're falling here. So your weight is opposite of what it should be. I want you here, ready to go here. Striking the ball here. And here's another thing I see a lot of players that they don't do. This loose arm is important. I took lessons in 1990 off of a guy that used to be on the Chinese national team. His name's Qing Yinghua. He was in the early 80s, he was on the Chinese national team. I booked some, he came to Indianapolis because they were having the U.S. Open in Indianapolis. I think it was 91. I can't remember the year. 91 or 92, something like that. It's a blur. But I booked some lessons with him at the Indianapolis club, and he came and helped a bunch of people. Unbelievable player, 2,800, elite level player when he was in his, and he's on the Chinese national team, give me a break. But now I forgot what I was saying. Move your left foot. Instead of doing this stuff, on that one you hit the ball with your weight on your left foot, and you transferred it to the right like this. Where I want to see you, I know what the point was, loose arm. The loose arm is important. He told me that get your loose arm here like you're almost hitting, you know what I mean? Like you're here and your core is tight and your weight is on this right foot, and you relax when you go back, you relax when you retract. And this arm's here. It's almost like you're holding the ball, and your hitting zone is on the side of your body, not out here. You don't want to hit the ball here. This is what he told me. Imagine an arrow. Imagine an arrow on top of your racket pointing out. When you hit the ball, you want that arrow going where the ball goes. And you want to keep it on I know I'm gripping the bat funny right now, but you want to keep your racket on, if you had a side view, you want to keep your racket on a straight plane. And what I mean by, now you're going to follow through like this. Now your racket, the tip of your racket is pointing, but you've already contacted the ball here. I see you contacting the ball here. Look where your arrow would go. Your arrow is pointing over that way. Now, sometimes you do it right when you're like in perfect position. You're here, but your problem is that you've got your weight, you don't have your weight on your right foot. You're either like this, and you step too far. I don't have a proper camera angle. You step too far with your right foot when you're hitting, and you have no choice but to land on, you're going from right to left. I'm exaggerating a little bit. I've seen you come over and you'll do this, and you're falling over this way because you're not on balance. If you had your right, think about pressing your feet into the ground when you're going for your shot. I'm pushing down. My problem is I weigh too much. When I played, I was 190. Now I'm 250. I'm pushing down. My legs are tense. I'm pushing down. I'm relaxed coming back because I want my hips and my hips leading the shot. I see you coming up here, and you're either falling this, or your weight's going this. You're hitting the ball off your left foot. You're releasing your weight. If you had any weight on your right foot, your right leg, you've released it way too early or way too late. You fall in here, and I want you to that shot. I can't do it because I got too much stuff up on the table. But I want you down, and I want you thinking a little more forward, not side. problem right now is my problem right now when I'm hitting, when I'm warming up, I'm doing this and pushing the ball a little much because I'm insecure about the racket, the bigger ball, everything. I'm insecure about my stroke right now. But you want your waist and your shoulders shouldn't be flying like this, pointed that way. I want your shoulders, if your weight's going forward, and then you're back, you retract. You immediately retract. But when you tense up when you hit the ball, because you're gripping it firmly, and you tense when you're hitting the ball, and then coming through, then relax. Take your shoulders out of it. It's not a shoulder shot. It's not an upper body. All the upper body strength in the world does not make power, does not create power in table tennis. If not, the big, strong, bulky guys with shoulder muscles could hit the ball harder. It's not. The power comes from right here, being stable on that base. But you have to move. You can't take big steps. No big steps. Whoa. That was a little exaggerated, but you like to root this, and I want to see you. When you're ready, relax, come back. And I never see you use this part of the table, ever. I never see you go from here to there, ever. I think one time in all your videos, I've seen you hit a shot from here to there. Well, that's your bread and butter. That's what you're trying to set up. When you're set up like this, like you're doing, you're trying to get here. That's the goal. You're trying to get a shot, a weak shot to you here. So you, look at my shoulders. It's not falling. Now, sometimes when you're trying to get to a ball and force it, you might have to fall a little bit. But you want to limit that as much as possible. I've never seen you use this diagonal. It drives me nuts. So maybe in the next couple weeks, if you ever watch this, I don't know. Next couple weeks, try to think about pushing yourself to maybe do some attacks here. Get that guy going out of position, because a lot of your opponents love to play right there. They love to play up the middle or leaning towards the forehand because they think they can get a big forehand on you because you're not putting any pressure on them, because you're defaulting back to pushing here right at them. Those balls that are coming squared up to me here and coming off the table weak, I'm moving around the table. You can use that real estate, and I'm thinking damage. I'm thinking damage from here. You don't have to back here. I'm thinking right here. And my arrow at contact, my arrow is going right there, and my racket will end up like this with the tip pointed somewhere. It's never going to be perfect. You may come off a little bit, but at least it's in the ballpark. All right. Same thing. You're just hitting it right back at the guy. Let's look at that. Why aren't you hitting your forehand there? You're not a chopper. I don't care if you lose 11-0. I mean, you may care. You know what I mean? I know you like to post your results and everything. I don't care about your results right now. That ball needs to be attacked with the forehand topspin. You have no business pushing that ball. And that you gotta get your weight going forward. I would go to his forehand corner, get him out of position, and then I would get back and think about coming around the backhand side with my forehand. That's the way, that would be my thought process. It may not happen, but at least go center the table to his backhand corner. That would be my thought process on that play. If that ball's coming off the end of the table and it's not super strong, attack it. Don't rush it. Now you win the point there, but you didn't put any pressure on him. That's nice. I still don't like it. I mean, a ball that high, I'd play forehand. But I mean, that's a little better. Every once in a while, you're going to hit still a low percentage shot in my book. Now you're just playing dirty. I know. A little better, but it's not a high percentage shot. You're gonna miss more of those than you hit. I'm being a little critical and I apologize, but that push is a little better, but I still don't like where your shoulders are. I don't like where you're lined up. Your elbow's still pointing outward. Your weight is on your left foot instead of your right. And your shoulders are not, it's not that bad. But I'd like to see a more balanced shot. You'll get a shorter push. You can control the depth of your pushes. If you keep your elbow in, pointed down, and you're coming in with the weight on your right foot, that's where you end up stable before you push, or while you push. See, it's just the same thing. Weight's back. The weight's on the left foot. I'll quit harping on that. I like your attempt there. You just started late. Your left foot, you weren't in position. I like the mindset. I like to change your approach. You win the game. I mean, there you go. I'd like to change your approach. That little short serve you do, it's going to get you some cheap points every once in a while, but against somebody that knows how to deal with that, it's going to cost you in the long run. But I mean, if that's what you like to do, do it. I wouldn't suggest doing a ball that short. You kind of want to serve in between where it's forcing the guy, because if that guy comes in and he's really on his footwork, he's going to be able to like push you deep, push it back to you deep, or he can lay it super short. If he was really on his footwork on that serve, if he was really on his footwork, oh, I got too much stuff in the way. Just say, if he was really on his footwork, he could come up. He can reach over, and he could really. You don't want to serve too short because it's too easy for the guy to. There's no energy on the ball. It's too easy for the guy just to drop it back short. That's not what you want. You want to serve. If you're serving any kind of underspin, for one, and I'm going to cover some of that later, you're coming down on the ball out here. When I want you here, think of underspin as you're cutting under the ball more. And then you can do this stuff and then you can pull up. When you see a guy's elbow come up on a serve, it means it's topspin. Unless he's got some sort of trick where he's got it really good, where he can disguise it, where it looks like he's coming up, but he's actually gonna hit the bottom of the ball. There's guys that can do that, but probably not at that level. But so you always have to watch. But I'd like to see you practice coming under the ball and get the ball to spin back a little bit. Not down on the ball. Now for a dead spin against those long pips guys you have at that club, you can pretend like you're gonna go under and then hit it more solidly, but I'd like to, not out here, I'd like to see you here do it with a weight shift. The serve is a stroke. You throw the ball up, your weight is coming back. When you throw the ball up, you're coming forward, and so you're naturally closing your racket angle, and you're not getting the spin. Spin is back here. You'll see guys stomp on their serve. I used to play this Chinese guy, this Chinese player. He was like 2100, and he was at the local college club for just a year or two. He was like a graduate student. He was like a 2100 player, and he used to stomp like crazy. I mean, it was the loudest thing you've heard while he's doing his serve because his weight's coming down. He's stomping. I think they've outlawed that or whatever. But for a while I was doing that. But the serve is here, here, here. It's a stroke. It's not doing this. It's, once again, the elbow's in. Your back, forward. Weight is forward. You'll see some of those guys, those top level guys serve, and their face is like right down on the ball. They're coming forward with their serve. Not thinking out here with hands. Here. Then you can, and you grip, I grip up. When I serve, I grip up. Because you can get more wrist. The reason I grip up is because so the knob of the racket doesn't hit. I can get more wrist action. I can get more movement with my wrist. I haven't even begun to work on my serves again. See, I like the idea. You're trying to do a reverse pendulum serve. And your weight shift's not horrible, but you're still thinking hands when you're doing it. It's hard. Serves are hard. Good serves are hard. They require a lot of practice. All that's footwork. All that's footwork. You're in your head too much thinking. I just want you to think about getting to the ball, proper position of the ball. That's all I want you to think about. Oh, you got it. Yeah, see, you're playing dirty again. It's all good. Once again, you're reaching out, just trying to smack the ball. Nice. Very nice. Let's look at that. You actually spun the ball. You actually got the ball. You actually acted like you were trying to absorb the ball a little bit. I think it's on this one. Much better. Much better. Your right foot's still not quite right, where your weight shift is still more left to right instead of front to back, or back to front. I'd like to see right there. I would like to see more. I'd like to see you hit the ball a little further back on your body. Your elbow's good there. It could be maybe an inch closer. Maybe not. It's hard to tell from this angle. And you're just hitting the ball a little early, and you don't have, you've already released your weight behind your shot. You've already released the thing that gives you power and speed. But you're a lot closer there to having everything working. You are much closer. You're still leading the shot. Your hips have already come through, and then your hand, you're trying to generate the power with your hand instead of your body. But that's much closer. I'd like to see that like 80% of the time. Your winning percentage would go up big time. And you hit look at it, he's falling back. He's not ready for that shot. Look, he's falling backwards. If he would have been a little close, he's got to be closer to the table. He's not going to be able to return that ball effectively where he's at. You either need to come and get that ball early, or you need to counter loop it. One of the two. You're either going to block that ball or you're going to counter loop it. But he's set up to be a backhand player. See his grip? His grip is more of a backhand player. But he sets up. I like his setup. Look how balanced. Look how balanced he is there. His setup is good. It's not a good. Look at his elbow right there. It's even resting on his thigh. I mean, he's a muscly guy, but he's set up to be more of a backhand, more of a balanced backhand forehand player than you are. You're setting up to be much more of a forehand player. You might think, oh, I look like him when I'm saying no. I can see the subtle difference. The grip, his grip is different than your grip. He's got much more of a backhand grip than you do. You've got a forehand grip. He's got a backhand grip. From what I can see from the videos, if I was there live, I could probably tell a little better. And what I mean by that is he's like this. Like he's ready to hit a backhand first. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as you're positioning yourself right on the table. There are guys now, and back when I was playing, this was kind of a no-no. If you're going to hit a backhand, the logic is you can hit a forehand. And forehands win points more than backhands. But now they've kind of changed a little bit. Now you'll see a lot of players come in like this. But you don't see any guys doing this passive. If you're gonna get in the habit of stepping like this, I want your racket angle. I want you thinking like this, like a flick, not this. But he sets up. You set up like this. That's a forehand setup. You're already there. You don't have to move your racket angle at all. All you need to do is move your feet around your racket. Move your body around your racket. So you're set up as a forehand. That's kind of how I set up. Because I'm thinking this. Always. He's thinking this. Nothing wrong with that. Because he's got much more of a backhand grip. He's got to hit a forehand, he's got to go all the way like this. You don't need to do that. You're already there. Get there. Left foot. Get there. You're here. Cut that angle off. Don't come back. Don't do this. Look at the distance your racket has to travel. Back here. Look at the distance your racket has to travel from here to where that, when you were playing that Eric guy, and he does those serves, and he does a little bit of a side spin serve from his forehand all the way to your forehand. Well, he's out of position like crazy. I'm like, that guy's nuts. But you're not taking advantage of it because you're doing this. Go back and watch one of the videos you play against that Eric guy. Because you're stepping like this with your racket back here with a ball that's curving away from you a little bit, which compounds the problem. Your racket's back here, and you've got to cover this distance. You've got to cover all that distance to contact the ball. And your left foot is still on your backhand side of the table, and your right foot is pointed upward. When I'd like to see you do this. Now you're getting the ball, and you're going to hit it right. You can hit it right back to that angle, and he's out of position. What's he going to do? It's going to be very difficult for him to go here. Very difficult. He better be right on it. So you're here, then you can almost rule this out from his positioning because he's serving himself way out of position. What's he going to do? Turn around and hit a backhand like this? What? How's he going to hit a forehand ever? Can't hit a forehand here. I mean, how's he going to hit a forehand? You can't get there. So think about cutting that angle off here. If that ball's coming off the table when you're playing him. I know I'm kind of jumping everywhere, but think about cutting that angle off. Don't think backwards. Don't think backwards and getting wide. Think cutting that angle off. Now my shoulders are pointed right to where I want to hit that ball. And once you get better at the feeling, you can wait on the ball a little more. You can hit that ball down the line just by delaying your weight shift. Now you're hitting the ball down the line because I'm hitting the ball there. Look at my arrow. Look at the arrow. We put an arrow on my racket like this. When you contact, follow through like that. All on the same plane as much as you can. Now, when your weight twists, you're gonna get a little bit of an arc, but that's all right. One of the coaches I had a problem. I was hitting the inside of the ball. Do I have a ball? Coach I had back in like late 80s, I was hitting the inside of the ball. So he changed me to thinking about hitting the outside of the ball, and then I just have to adjust my body positioning to hit straight topspin. You want to be able to hit a straight topspin and then be able to make adjustments like hooking. You can come around the outside of the ball and hook it a little bit with just a little bit of timing difference. This is down the road a little bit. Or just like in golf, they fade, they draw the ball, they fade the ball. It's the same. You can come across the inside of the ball if you want. But you want to be able to hit that nice solid topspin. And the arrow here should go where you want the ball to go. I'm already an hour, 25 minutes. That's fine. I don't go back to work for another 6 days. Yeah. All right. We're coming to the close of the video here soon. But most of your problems are just stemming from the exact. I could be a broken record. Yeah. See how you reached out trying to slap the ball instead of absorbing the ball with your body? Nice. Now against underspin, that would have been perfect. Because you have against underspin, and nobody there gives you real heavy underspin. You've got no like really good defensive choppers or anything. Let's look at that. You still shifted your weight more from the right to the left, falling. You're still off balance a little bit, but it's a little better. I'd like to see you move around the ball a little more, where you're coming, where your hips and shoulders are allowing you to go more back to front, like just a little bit more rotation, where you're gonna have to move your feet and wait on the ball a little bit. But I like how you transferred the power there. Your elbow's still coming up a little bit, but that's much better. That's a much better shot. It's a beautiful shot. And you're way more on balance at the end. You still haven't retracted. I want you already in the process right there of retracting your racket. Relax. After you hit the shot and you follow through, relax. You can't if you're all tensed up, you can't move your waist and relax your top, relax the upper body after that. Get back and like you're springing back. Get your balance underneath you and bring your racket back. Relax. It's one of your problems. You're all tense. But I don't like the way you. I mean, that's not a problem there. I wouldn't have caught the ball. I'm coming up to the table with intention to doing damage. Look where your shoulders are in relation to your racket. I know this is a lot to take in. I'm just trying to, like I said, this is stuff that's easily fixed. Easily fixed. That push is a little better. You're still not going forward. Nice. That first one was nice. You were not ready for a next shot. But that first block was nice. That's not a bad attempt, but what happened? You engaged your shoulder. You're trying to muscle the ball using your shoulder. Don't use your shoulder. See, if I were him, I would hit a forehand there. Same thing, just falling backwards. It's a footwork thing. You'll be able to easily fix it. When you lean back, your racket angle automatically comes open. I really thought you were going to win this match. If you get to the point where you can control that first spin a little bit, and I don't mean winners, you're going to put a lot of pressure on him to not make mistakes. it's a close match. Not bad playing. I mean, like I said, I don't care about the results, but I'd like to see you play much more aggressively. I don't care about who cares about results. I mean, I know it's fun but you get to the point where you're going to be able to get a rhythm of your shots. Your winning percentage at that club is going to skyrocket, and it's just a matter of working from the ground up, getting your balance, move that left foot. I can't stress that enough. You can't win matches with a plan. I know I'm a broken record, but you cannot win matches. I want to see you much more with your shoulders pointing that way. I know it's like, what? What are you talking about? No matter where you are in the rally, I want to see more with your shoulders thinking, you know, like baseball players when they hit, like even the home run hitters, they're thinking hit the ball, line drive, shortstop. Any kind of adjustment they can make to hit opposite field. But I want to see you not thinking shoulders here or shoulders squared up to your opponent. I want to see you thinking open the table up more. Thinking I like to see you use more of this to there and moving around the ball. Don't think of moving your hand to the ball, thinking about moving your body to the ball, around the ball. Just try to implement it slowly. And like I said, off the serve, main thing just try to implement this one thing the next week when you go. Let me get a ball. Try to implement one little thing at a time so you don't get discouraged. But I guarantee it's time to start thinking about the feeling at the table more than just defaulting back at this. Because you're in this mode. And hoping that you get a forehand you can try to rip for a winner. And I'm trying to make you think about getting a momentum going forward against the serve. When they're about, like I said, I can't stress enough, that Chinese coach, he saw me return and serve, and I did the same thing. I was like this, and I was waiting, and he's like, no, take a hop. Even exaggerate it when you're practicing. You don't have to hop, though. You can just... It's just a little stutter step. Whatever's comfortable. If you can push off, but it's not a big step. It's not big stepping. But right before he hits the ball, I want to see you, and I don't mean up on your toes. I just mean you got some energy now. When you see tennis players return and serve, you always see them go like that, right when they're hitting the ball. They don't wait for the ball to get over the net to do that. Watch them. They're up ready to pounce. Plus it gets your brain thinking, be aggressive. A little more aggressive. Not rushing, not impatient, but aggressive. Returning a serve faster off the bounce is aggressive. I'm not talking about winning shots. I can't stress this enough. Get to that angle. Don't let those balls get back here. Hell no. Giving your opponent too much time. That's the main thing. Step in. Don't give your opponent time. Make your opponent panic. You're not doing that. You're coming here, pushing, I'm sorry, I'm a broken record. You're pushing here, and the ball's going long and high, and they've got all day. They've got all day. And I want to see you being able to, then you can make the determination, do I want to drop that ball short, or do I want to put a little extra forward momentum into it and push it long at them? And then you can start flicking. Then you can get over the table and start flicking a little bit. Against no spin, top spin. I mean, and you may get burnt sometime. I mean, at first, because you're thinking about it, somebody might burn you sometime. Who cares? It's 1 point. Big deal. The more you can return these controlled serves consistently, you're forcing them to do something. And right now, you don't force your opponent much at all to do anything. They pretty much, I mean, that Eric guy, he's licking his lips because he knows what you're going to do. He knows you're going to wait on that ball. And I want to see you coming in, putting them to the test. That's what I want. And you can call it attack or whatever. Whatever. It's just more an aggressive thing. Quit trying to think of table tennis as winning a point. Think of table tennis more as setting up the shot to make your opponent make a bad shot. That's what, and you can only do that by putting pressure. You can't win a chess match against a good player by making one move. You got to build your attack, and it starts with an aggressive serve return, consistent, aggressive, and then down the road, deceptive. You can come in and flip long to them, make them move. None of the people I've seen at the club have good footwork. There's one guy that's got halfway decent footwork. Footwork is the big weakness. Take advantage of it. Work on your footwork when everybody else is worried about making big shots. And in a couple months, you're going to be near the top of the club. That's all I can say. So I'm going to get out of here. I got some other stuff I got to do. I've been on here a little too long, so anyway, let me know. And if you want to discuss or you have any questions or anything, let me know. But that's about all the advice I'm going to give you. I'm not going to leave you YouTube comments of stay low, keep your racket high. Keep your racket high. I mean, there's context to all that stuff. But without the ground up foundation, all that other stuff doesn't mean anything. You can be as low, racket high, I don't care. All the other stuff, it's the basics that matter. And once you get the basics down, you're going to be a good player because you've got the gist of it already. You don't need your grip is good. You're not holding the racket like this or it's not like you got to start from like scratch. You're not windshield wipering the ball. You've got the basic gist of it. You just need some work from the ground up on some fundamental stuff, and then you're gonna skyrocket big time. So, all right, I'm out of here.